Thrilled to have this guy call into the show. He's one of my favorite people on the planet, and what you had to say last night, Chris Webber, on live television was beautiful. I texted you right away, and I appreciate you joining me the next day. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Rich.
So, what's going through your mind right now, Chris C-Web?
Oh man, well, I tell you, it's just a lot of emotion. You know, I think it was just reported that the players have decided to play. I'm not sure if that's true. If you got that on your end, and I'm just, I don't know if happy is the word. I'm proud that young people had so much passion and had so much pain and so much love in their hearts that it just didn't sit right with them, and they decided to do something which meant do nothing yesterday. And the only point I was I tried to make a few points, but the point I wanted to make about the players yesterday was I just didn't want to bash them. I just didn't want everyone to throw away what they did, because it's funny. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, these entitled athletes, they never give back. And then if they do take off or boycott, oh, they don't know what it's really like. So my thing yesterday was I just, really happy that I'm with Turner and we have a platform to talk. They called me about 10 minutes before the show and said, you want to come over? I run. I'm sweating. I put on my suit. And I just wanted to stand with those players in some way. And if they did, in fact, decide to play, I'm very happy that they're going to continue, because they started the conversation. I'm just glad that they started. They continued. However you want to put the conversation back in light. And so it's a lot of emotion. We've never been through this in sports before, and so I'm encouraged by seeing the Lions the other day stop practice, baseball, other people. I was encouraged, and hopefully people can just express their pain, have conversation, and hopefully it leads to change.
Well, then let's discuss this a little bit more, Chris, because I could already see it coming. You can too. The conversation that you're talking about needs to be had, and it's important to be had. And then others pointing out that without action, then what does it all mean anyway? And the players were just virtue signaling to begin with. That's coming. Certainly, if the stoppage only lasts 1 or 2 playoff days, why is it so important to have the conversation, Chris?
Man, because if we don't have the conversation, this is a tricky thing. I don't even know if I should go here, but I believe personally that because of sports, I believe personally that sports is the first introduction of someone not like you into your family, into your living room. I suspect that in the 50s and 60s, 40s, when Jackie Robinson came into baseball, that there were not many black people in the homes of white Americans. There weren't people that you could say, hey, son, I want you to work hard like Jackie. Or, sports, what sports does is take all the blinders off and it just puts it on the characteristics: hard work, tough, show up, things that we all are common denominators of life, things we all admire. And the fact that my nephew loves Doncic as much as he loves LeBron speaks to that. And everyone keeps saying, or there are going to be people who say, well, they didn't get anything accomplished or they didn't do anything. And that's why I want to encourage the players, because that's the trick bag. The trick bag is, hey, guys, go back and plan something and then take action. So then what you're going to have is 400 players, 400 agents, 400. Nothing will get done that way. This had to be an impulse. It had to be something that everything wasn't planned out right to do, because it can't be planned out right. There are going to be issues. There are going to be situations. And so for me, the black kids, the white kids that called me yesterday were excited about change. We're excited about something. Were they missing basketball? Yes. But the youth gets it, in my opinion. The youth gets it, and they understand that it's bigger than just a game. And so I do hope that guys play. That's just hope there's a message. I hope that there's change. But I was just inspired by the impulse. Sometimes you just got to say, screw it, and let the chips fall where they may.
That's maybe that's the reason why we both chose the great institution of higher learning that we've did. That's exactly what I said. I got the sense from hearing what I heard from the bubble, what I heard people say from the bubble, that the sense was, screw it. We are not up for entertaining a country where we feel there's a large population that will not entertain our humanity. Literally, that's what I got the sense of. And the fact is that yesterday, my 9-year-old walked up to me and said, are we watching Rockets and Thunder? And I said, no. And he said, why? And I told him why. And a conversation started in my household. That happened yesterday, Chris, and it wouldn't have maybe had the Rockets and the Thunder not played, or had they played basketball. I mean, we do talk about the real world with our kids a lot, but sports brought that on, Chris. That happened yesterday in my household.
Yeah, and it's messed up because he's a 9-year-old, and maybe you shouldn't have to have that talk. It's messed up, but that's just the way that it is. And because you had that talk, he's going to be a better individual. Yeah. Whatever the talk was, because I know that talk had compassion and empathy, yeah. And that's all you want. I mean, it's just that simple, man. It's just compassion and empathy. That's all. No one wants to be favored over the other, or it's just compassion and empathy. A man was shot 7 times in the back in front of his 3 children. If you really want to look, I mean, when I was 16, I remember it was a song by Chubb Rock, and he was talking about Yusef Hawkins getting killed. I mean, so when you talk about the trauma and guys being traumatized and where these players come from and the neighborhoods they come from, they go back. I've said it before, and the league is great. The league has been very supportive, but I know more athletes that have given more to charity than that team has during their time there. These are guys that really, it's this thing, survivor's remorse. I know that I was given opportunities that other people weren't given, because I could play basketball, because of my height and all those things. And that's how the world is sometimes. But it's messed up when it is a whole community and you're the only one. Or you're looked at like, oh, you're on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you're not going through what they go through. Why are you worried about it? It's those type of things. And I just hope that whether you're extra conservative, whether you're left, right, it doesn't really matter. I just hope that within this moment, you see it for what it is, and it is the pain of the players. It is empathy. It is sympathy. It is questioning why. It really is. I mean, we've seen it all over the world, and I think social media has been a big part of it because guys now can go to their own platform. I mean, think about it. I think Doc Rivers really set it off with his speech after the game the other night that we had, and so I just hope people just see that these are human beings and individuals as athletes, and I would hope that they would say, wow, their parents raised them right, not to just, when you made basketball, forget it. When you make it to the league, forget everybody else and go live in your mansion on a mountain. That's not what these guys are doing.
A few more minutes left with Chris Webber here on the Rich Eisen Show. Can you give voice to how the bubble is affecting some of this? The fact is, again, that the players, and because we had Kenny the Jet Smith on yesterday who brought this up about this subject, and we all know that he demiked on live television last night inside the NBA studio, and said that he just didn't feel like it, and that he was doing that in solidarity of players. But anyway, he mentioned that the bubble, adding the fact, and you were there, that the players can't be about it sitting in the bubble, and so. How is that affecting everything, do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think we need to so we'll get to that bubble, but the bubble we're in now where you can't hug your friend, you can't see your grandmother. I really think that everything has to be a perfect storm. And this was the perfect storm for activism because there's no distractions. There aren't the sports. It's not the college football ramping up, all the other things that I like. They are, but then it hasn't been on TV. And so I think the world has gotten a chance to see what really goes on and watch the news probably way too much and see these same incidents happen. And I think here in the bubble, So I've been here about 2 weeks now, and it's weird. It's different. I've never been away from my kids this long. So you're dealing with different emotions. And for these guys, I think the bubble affected them that they're in their rooms. I mean, you can play golf, you can maybe walk around outside, but you can't leave the campus of the hotel. And I think a lot of these guys feel like I'm not using the value that I have, that I'm wasting my value, that I could be doing something. And they may feel like it's frustrating that I'm here and not doing anything while the world is burning, you know. And so I do think the bubble has had an effect on guys and their anxiousness and them wanting to speak out and wanting to do something. But I sense that from everybody. People just going to work are tired. People, you know, kids can't go to school. I just think the frustration and seeing what it is, people are just calling for peace. That's all it is. People just want peace in the midst of all this storm. And I think that being in a bubble has let guys really sit and focus on it for hours at a time. And they just want to do something about it.
All right, Chris, so before I let you go, what do you think happens next year? Do you think, because if there is no, if you will, announcement of something tangible, by that I mean players and owners in the league got together and something is being funded or something is being created to address the issue that caused the players to strike. I mean, I know you could say boycott. Strike is really was what withholding services. Yeah. Boycott is withholding money to buy something. So if there isn't that, we already kind of hit the fact that there will be criticism of really what's all this for except a conversation. And we've already established that conversation does have immense value. Mm-hmm. But what do you think the next step is here when games resume?
There has to be action items. As Dr. Phil said, there got to be some verbs in those sentences. But I would say this. I would tell the players, don't rush because of the pressure. I would say even if you come back and play tonight, you don't have to have a full-out platform today because that takes time. You need to bring in researchers. You need to bring in experts. You need to bring in those from those communities. So my thing is the conversation started it, and the conversation that you have with your 9-year-old son, that means he's going to have it with his 9-year-old son. And I don't mean that conversation. I mean where he talks to his kid about the world and inclusive in conversation. So number one, they've won that war. Just putting it out there. And second, I think that you're going to have some actions. What will that be? I'm not sure. But I do believe that each team will probably get with their local government. Each team, you talk about the services and the money and the taxes that these teams pay into these cities. Maybe it is something where you can direct the taxes. Maybe it is something where you can bring change and initiatives. I can't speak for the players. I know that they've inspired me, and I'll be back on your show in a couple months to tell you what I'm doing. So I'm doing stuff, and they encourage me to continue to do it. And I don't know what their plans are, but I tell you this, there are a lot of people with plans, individually, collectively, and I'm happy that they sparked, rekindled, reignited a flame in a lot of people, and I don't want them to hurry up and just put anything together because it doesn't matter. Black Lives Matter on the court. All that stuff really doesn't matter if we don't do action. I just hope they take their time with the sense of urgency that they have. And if they announce something at the beginning of next season, we can all wait till then. As long as it's robust, as long as it's hard-hitting, as long as it's going to make change, I just want them to make sure that they have the best plan possible. And however long that takes, that's how long it's going to take. Don't be pressured by that, but just make sure at the end of the day you complete what you started. That's all. I just hope they complete what they started at some time.
I love you, Chris Webber. Love you, man.
Love you too, man. Love your wife more, though.
I know that. That's fun. You don't have to say it, although it's appreciated. Are you FaceTiming with those babies? Is that basically what you do?
Yeah, FaceTiming every day, man. So, yeah, everything. And with potty training. So I'm FaceTiming a lot, just looking at the ceiling while they're sitting on the potty singing. So,
hold on a second.
Yeah,
so
man.
Is this, I know we're doing everything virtually and by Zoom these days. Are you Zoom potty training? Is that literally what you just said?
I'm Zoom babysitting, so my wife will say, hey, sit on the toilet and talk to your dad.
That is amazing. That is fantastic. All right, Chris, you take care of yourself. You be well.
Thanks a lot, guys. Be safe.
That's the only one,
Chris.
only Chris
Webb.
Flower.